Hey guys, so I'm gonna be doing something a little bit different on my channel where I'll be talking about top 10 different things. Say, top 10 of my favorites, top 10 of my least favorites. But this one, for my first top 10, I'll be talking about my top 10 favorite movie sequels. And I had to really think about what I wanted to put on the list. But, sure, a lot of people would say I have like a ton of favorite sequels. And, I do have a few favorites, and I also have an honorable mentions list. I'll get to that after I'm done with my number two. So, let's get started, people. Number 10 is John Wick Chapter 2. And this one, Baba Yaga is back again. Except this time, his dog's alive. And I know that's technically like a spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen it, but if you were upset about the dog dying in the first movie, it doesn't happen in this one. So, yeah. So the plot of the movie is that John Wick is forced out of retirement by this from someone from his past who wants him to kill his sister in order to take her place as a member of the High Table. And as for the motivation, it wasn't really as great as John Wick's motivation was in the first movie, because in the first movie you can understand why he would want to come out of retirement, because a couple of guys break into his house, steal his car, and they killed his dog, and he wants to come out of revenge. And that was a great story. And the second movie, I can understand that some people would complain about that his motivation is not really as great as it was in the first movie. So when it comes to this one, sure, I can understand that, but when it comes to the action and everything, it is gold. And I love John Wick Chapter 2. And Keanu Reeves, he's amazing as John Wick. And you can almost, you can not imagine anybody else pulling off, that role other than Keanu Reeves. He's just so great. So I definitely can't wait for Chapter 3. All right, number 9, and this was a bit difficult. The whole list, I had to really think about it, like I said. And my number 9 is Aliens. And I know what you're thinking. I'm like, why would you put it at number 9? But I had to think about it. But I swear to you, I love Aliens. Is that proof for you? Good. So, it's definitely my favorite movie with Sigourney Weaver, since this movie, in this movie, she was nominated for Best Actress, and that's really impressive. She deserved that nomination because she's amazing as Ripley, and unlike the first movie, which was a suspenseful sci-fi horror movie, this one is an action movie, and it is phenomenal. This time directed by James Cameron instead of Ridley Scott. And this is definitely one of the best sci-fi action movies from the 80s, and is so amazing, and I really love Aliens. So, yeah, I'm sorry I had to put it at number 9, so, yeah. Number 8, and this one was a little bit difficult, but my number 8 is Mission Impossible Fallout. This is easily, so far, the best movie I've seen so far this year. There's a lot of competition. I already reviewed some awesome movies that came out this year, but this one is probably the best I've seen so far this year. And it is definitely the best installment in the Mission Impossible film franchise, and possibly Tom Cruise's best movie yet. And there's a lot of stuff that this movie deserves praise for. It is the stunt work, the cinematography, and Christopher McQuarrie's direction. And this is the second movie in the franchise that he's directed since Rogue Nation. And this is action movie gold. I love this movie, and I really hope that they come up with a seventh movie because that needs to happen. All right. Number 7 is Skyfall. Now, when it comes to Skyfall, I mean, it explores more of James Bond's, like, a bit of his past. Well, some of it, actually. Because you see him as this broken man, and, well, and also when it comes to this movie, we get one of the best Bond villains ever, and that's Javier Bardem as Silva. And when it comes to Javier Bardem's performance in that movie, he's giving an Oscar-worthy performance at times. Likewise for Daniel Craig as Bond, and I mean, and so far Daniel Craig has been proven to be like the best Bond actor since Sean Connery. And when it comes to Bond movies, a lot of people would discuss what their favorite Bond villain. I mean, what their Bond. Sorry, what their favorite Bond movie is. I mean, it could be like Goldfinger, GoldenEye, Skyfall, Casino Royale. I mean, there's 24 of these movies, and Skyfall is definitely one of my favorite Bond movies, and it's so phenomenal. And not to mention, I mean, the song by Adele is definitely my favorite Bond movie song, and it's so beautiful. I love it, and that's why it's on my list. I mean, that's why this movie is on my list. Number 6 is Spider-Man 2. Now, when it comes to Spider-Man 2, it doesn't feel like a superhero movie. It also is somewhat of a drama in a way, because it really understands the character of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Because when it comes to Peter Parker, I mean, he's like struggling with college, and he's struggling with his everyday life as an ordinary guy while also trying to be a superhero, and it does it so perfectly. And there's like around the half point of the movie where he's done being Spider-Man, and of course there's Alfred Molina's amazing performance as Doc Ock, and this is definitely the best installment in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, and it's definitely my favorite Spider-Man movie other than Spider-Man Homecoming. And the cast in 2 is amazing. Tobey Maguire, I mean, he was my Spider-Man as a kid. And this movie is amazing. I love it. Oh, yeah. Number 5 is The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. And as a kid, I wasn't really into the Lord of the Rings movies until I watched Return of the King with my dad, and it became my favorite movie in the franchise. And it was a perfect way to end the trilogy, and it's like, and it's definitely, it's phenomenal. And when it comes to this movie, it like won dozens of Oscars, including Best Picture, which is the first fantasy movie to ever win Best Picture. And the cast, the visuals, the story, and oh my god, it is amazing. It is like anything that you can possibly dream of. It's a great movie, and I love it, and it's definitely my favorite in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Number 4 is Mad Max Fury Road. Now, when it comes to this movie, I had to really think about this. Because when it comes to my favorite Mad Max sequel, it's a fight between this one and The Road Warrior, but this one's a little bit different because when it comes to this, it's a non-stop action thrill ride, and I love Tom Hardy's performance as Max, and Charlize Theron as Imperador Furiosa. I really hope I said that right. they give amazing performances, and the stunt work, the practical effects, the visuals. It is I mean, it's like everything that you can possibly want in an action movie. And George Miller, I mean, this is like the fourth movie in the franchise. I mean, and it came out 30. I mean, over 30 years after Beyond Thunderdome, and it's. I mean, it's definitely by far my favorite installment in the Mad Max series, and oh, and I know I said I wanted to finish my series of reviews for the Mad Max series. I swear to you, really soon I will finish that. And and when it comes to Mad Max Fury Road, it was nominated for Best Picture. An action movie nominated for Best Picture. And it's definitely one of the best action movies of this decade. And I love Mad Max Fury Road. Number three is now I had to really think about this one as well, what I wanted number three to be. But my number three is The Empire Strikes Back, and this one is my favorite of the Star Wars franchise and the best of the original trilogy because the cast. I mean, you have Mark Hamill as Luke, uh, Harrison Ford as Han, and Carrie Fisher as Leia. Rest in peace. And we get like amazing characters, a great story, amazing visuals, John Williams score, and we get some of the best lines ever in cinema. I am your father. Oh, and this is definitely one of the greatest movies of all time, and that's why it's my number three. Number two, and this one was a bit difficult. I had to really decide on this, but I mean, I had to think hard. So, my number two is The Dark Knight. And this is the one movie that's like, it's it's a comic book movie for like people who don't really love comic book movies because I mean, it has like adult themes, adult characters, adult dialogue, and such an amazing cast and an amazing story. And of course, let's not forget Heath Ledger's iconic portrayal of the Joker because I mean, he won an Oscar for this role and he deserved it. Heath Ledger, rest in peace. He was amazing as the Joker. And Christian Bale, best Batman. And right before I get to my top pick, here are a few honorable mentions: The Dark Knight Rises, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Incredibles 2, Superman 2, X2, X-Men United, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, and The Road Warrior. And my number one favorite sequel is Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I had to put this on number one because this has been one of my favorite movies and my favorite sequel ever since I was a kid. And when it comes to this movie, amazing visuals, amazing cast. I mean, when it comes to Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator, he is amazing as this character. And when it comes to this character, I mean, at first he started out as the bad guy in the first movie, and now he's the hero in the second movie because he's now protecting John Connor from the T-1000, who's played by Robert Patrick, who is basically almost indestructible. And this is like one of my favorite movies. It's one of the best action movies, best sci-fi movies, and one of the greatest movies of all time. And this is why this is my number one. Whew. Yeah, I had to get that off my chest, guys, because I had to really think about what I wanted on my list. So, yeah, this was so much fun, guys. I really enjoyed this. So, I'll probably do more top tens really soon. I had to really think about what I really want for my next top 10. So, if you want anything else, if you want more requests for top tens or more reviews or more gameplay videos, I will be more than happy to do those for you guys because you're the best. And thank you so much for watching my videos and subscribing to my channel. And I don't know what I'd do without you guys. And until next time, peace out.